this. So, um, so introduction, overview. So the general operating support grants are specific to arts organizations located in Salt Lake City. So they really need to have a headquarters. If they don't have an office, because some of them are a little bit smaller, the majority of their performances or activities, rehearsals need to take place in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
That is a component that I sort of make sure they're eligible. So everybody that you see come into your queue that I'll show you in a minute will already have been through that eligibility. But if you do have questions, like you don't understand how they made it to this cut,
Hmm.
you're seeing a lot of activity outside of Salt Lake, please do bring that up because I'm
Okay.
human and I might have made a mistake or I might have additional information that
Okay.
wasn't necessarily in the application. So yeah, if there's any time where you're like, I don't understand
Yeah.
how this application is eligible, how it made it to me, do reach out and ask those questions because
Perfect.
yeah, that'll help you in the scoring process. So let me share my screen. Another thing to figure out. I don't know about you, but every time I get onto
Oh, I
a
know. Oh my
in front of
gosh.
somebody. Oh, it is up at the very top. Duh. Uh,
And I'm like, how do I do this again?
and I always choose the one that is, okay, where did it go to now? I always choose the one that is like allowing me to let you share instead of actually sharing.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And now it disappeared. Oh, it's down there. Mhm.
yeah.
Wow. Great impressions this first time. Okay. So, what you're looking at, hopefully you can see it,
Yes.
is the grants portal, and this is kind of how it will look when you log in. And I will be sending you emails. You will get annoyed with me. I don't know if you've met Lana and talked to her, but
Mm,
she gets so annoyed because she has her plan for when she's
Oh,
going
wait,
to
no, I know,
review,
Lana.
and
Yep, yep.
I send her reminders, and she's like, I will get to it when I get to it, Susan.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
I will send you many more reminders than perhaps you need, but just trying to keep everybody reminded them.
Perfect.
Um, so I will send you another big email once all of these grants are available to you to review. That'll have the portal for you to log in. It'll have a reminder of your temporary password. Um, but when you get in, it should look something like this. It'll have your name up there. It'll say role board member, and then you'll have the evaluations under the dashboard section.
Okay.
And there are, at this point, there's 43 applications for general operating, and usually they're all eligible, so it should stay at about 43.
Okay.
Um, and they will, instead of saying draft, they'll be new applications for you. And it'll say start down here for
Okay.
each one. So you'll have 43 total. Um, so yeah, you log in and you'll see everything that you have to do. If you don't complete one, it'll show as this draft status. And then all of your complete ones, this will break into thirds, and you'll have all of your complete applications listed over here. So you can sort of track your own progress as you're going through.
Okay.
Um, you'll go in and you'll decide what organization you would like to review today. And you will just click on, it'll say start over here, but it says continue for me. And it'll open up the application. And it's a side-by-side view. So you have the application on the left-hand
Mm,
side, the evaluation on the right. And of course, you
that's
can
nice.
adjust as you want to. Um, the first part of the evaluation is a conflict of interest. And do you have any perception of any organizations that you might feel you would have a conflict of interest with? And if you have no clue what organizations,
I don't
it's
think
fine.
so.
Okay.
I mean, I guess just University of Utah, um, health, but
Yeah, but
I don't,
that
yeah, I don't really see that.
Yeah, Tanner Dance is an applicant in general operating. So, and they're part
Okay.
of the University of Utah. So, the conflict of interest is if you feel like you aren't able to judge them fairly in comparison to the others. Um, and if you're sort of on the board of, I want to discuss whether this is a conflict of interest, feel free to reach out and we
Okay.
can chat about why you feel like it may be, and um, we can discuss it further, and then you can make the decision if you want to mark a conflict.
Okay.
Um, if you do mark a conflict, if you'll just give me a statement or so, their University of Utah department or, whatever that is. And then you'll scroll down to the bottom, click save, and it'll show in your draft and it'll just be a pesky one that sits there.
Okay.
But if you don't have a conflict, you'll keep on scrolling. So now I'm going to flip back to the application side and feel free to interrupt with any questions
Hmm.
you have. Um, so the application is going to start out with some uh, just standard information, just general information about the organization. A lot of the first, I think, two sections are not scored items. So you're going to see whether they have administrative staff, paid or volunteer, the name of the organization. This is UMFA. And then, um, so this is just historical information, mainly so that I can pull reports on this information. Feel free to read through it. Whoops. And then if you, in the future, you can just skim over this if you don't find this as a helpful portion or whichever
Okay.
parts you don't find helpful. We do ask if they're receiving other funding from the city. This is just to know who we're sharing, who's also receiving funding.
Hmm.
Um, the ACEs through the mayor's office. General fund appropriation is the budget. I don't believe anybody is receiving general fund, but
Okay.
we do ask. If they have an accessibility plan, the amount they're asking for. And this will come into play when we have our committee meeting after all the scores are in. But it's not, um, you can just make note of it and move on.
Okay.
We do ask what district they're in and then their discipline, how they define it. I ask a question about arts education just for historical and being able to report up to the mayor's office how many of our arts
Mhm.
organizations are doing um, educational activities.
Okay.
And we finally get to artistic vibrancy over here. So you'll see the question usually has, or the section usually has a percentage, and that's when you know, hey, I need to go over on the evaluation side and look for the corresponding scoring.
Okay.
So artistic vibrancy and programming goals, so those line up. And um, so we are going to, on Thursday, our meeting is really to have the reviewers all get together and sort of discuss what makes great artistic vibrancy, what makes a high score, what makes a medium score, what makes a low score. And so we will go over that more in detail then. So I'm going to
Perfect.
sort of skim over that. But you
Yes.
will have the rubric as it's been provided to the applicant over here on the application side.
Okay. Perfect.
We use a three scoring system. So we have an excellent response. Like they're doing great work in the arts community, plus, really reaching out and making good efforts. The yellow section is our medium score. And that is, this arts organization is doing their work. They're doing good work. It's not exceptional. It's good work.
Hmm.
So a score, and this would be a score of 5. Um,
Okay.
that is a perfectly acceptable score. Like if an organization received all 5s, that's fine. They're doing good work. Um, and then the red is where they have some deficiencies in, maybe they're doing okay work, but they're not really trying to reach new communities, or, they're, for some reason their work is just diminished.
Gotcha.
Um, and so we use a 3-point score of 2 for the worst or the lowest score,
Okay.
5 and 8. And my system will only allow me to put the whole scale, but please only use the 2,
Gotcha.
5, and
Okay.
8. Yeah. So if I didn't beat that dead horse. Um, And so you're going to, over here in artistic vibrancy, let's scroll down. So you have their organization mission. This is sort of com combined with you want to see what they want to be doing in the community. And then you're followed by some data in terms of um, how many people are coming to their organization, how many events they're having. Um, they gave us some details about those numbers. And then we finally get to please describe how your project or program contributes to the artistic vibrancy of the community. And this
Hmm.
is the direct response that corresponds with the
Okay.
score. And then you scroll down, and after artistic vibrancy, you get to programming goals, and those correspond.
Okay.
You are welcome to leave comments in here. We ask that they're helpful comments to the reviewer. They don't have direct access to this, but if an organization were to say, why didn't I receive
Hmm.
more funding? I can go back here and say, well, one of the reviewers, you're never named, said that they felt like you didn't describe the community you were trying to serve very well. That
Okay.
later in the application. So, if you have a strong feeling of what they could have done better or what they're doing really well, just a short little statement about that is always very helpful. Um,
Perfect.
and then I also recommend sort of keeping another little notebook or another document on your computer with notes for yourself, because with the general operating grants, the majority of people are going to ask for the maximum amount, and we don't
Hmm.
have enough funds to be able to give that. And so really seeing how organizations are, what work they're doing so that when we're discussing how to proportion out the funds we have, um, you have reminders of, I don't remember what Mestizo does. Oh, you can review back to your notes. And
Perfect.
that's always helpful. Um, yeah, so you're welcome to leave comments where you feel they're necessary, particularly if you're giving them a 2, but you don't need to leave it in every section.
Okay.
So programming goals, we have 2 questions, and then you get to community engagement. And I really do need to make sure that these names align, I'm
Hmm. Hmm.
realizing. Um, so community involvement. Um, just for your reference, we do have an unscored question in here, and it's supposed to be describe how their board and staff. And we wanted to add this input in to really showcase, because if an organization, if their goal is to reach a certain community, say the Latino community, but then you see their description of their board and staff and people who are working to create that programming is all white individuals.
Hmm.
There's kind of a disconnect going
Right.
on there.
Right.
So this informational question will help you sort of decide and assess their description of their audience, if they're meeting and able to serve that
Perfect.
audience well. So audience description, value to community, um, are both scored sections.
Okay.
And there's a third section, access and belonging. And this is focused on creating an inviting and accessible opportunity for patrons to be able to attend different, so that they're not feeling alienated and always welcomed.
Great.
So, and then the budget section is a scored section, But we have moved that scoring, so I will be reviewing their budget and scoring that
Okay.
section. But you do have access to their budget. It's
Gotcha.
shown down here, and you're welcome to make comments on it. Um, we, I did this so that it was taking a little bit more of the burden off of the reviewers. And I don't know how exactly you fall, but usually there's budget people and there's non-budget people.
Yeah.
And the non-budget people hate looking at numbers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so we have taken it that way. But you're welcome if you're a budget person and you like looking at budgets, you are more than welcome to review it. And we're looking for balanced budgets, using the funds towards good programming choices,
Excellent.
so and hopefully we can see that in the budget. They are scored on having a balanced budget and really making sure that we are understanding. So their budget narrative matches what their programming is doing.
Right.
And so that's what I will assess and score. Um, so the last piece I have is how to open the attachments, because there's a few attachments within the system. Um, with the budget one, they will all have the document that they've linked. So I hopefully you're seeing that I'm under trying to
Yep. I can
show
see
that
it.
UMFA thing. And then they'll all have an eyeball. If it's a PDF document, the eyeball is a document viewer and it works beautifully.
Gotcha.
The Excel documents, it never works beautifully,
Yeah. I
almost
know.
never. So with the Excel document, it always opens funny. So you can click the download from here,
Okay.
or if you click the document right here,
And I
it'll
will download it.
download and you'll be able to open it. Hopefully you have
Perfect.
Excel. If you don't have Excel and want to look at it, I'm, I'm happy to get those to pull all those documents down and put them as a PDF for you.
I do have Excel, so that
Okay,
should be
great.
fine.
Yeah. So there is three main columns here. So when you download it, you'll see that there's the descriptions of the columns, the amounts, and then I'm going to go to the third page. And then there's comments and explanations.
Okay.
And so we're looking for details on how they're using the funds. And as you can see, there's a notes section down at the bottom here
Hmm.
that's split across the document
Yes.
viewer
Yep.
version. So, and again, please do, as you feel comfortable, make yourself familiar with their budgets. I'm going to
Great.
scroll up on their application to show you. I believe it is it's under the programming goals. There's a spot where they can add a document, a PDF of their programs and then work samples. And so
Okay.
that's when you use the eyeball, the document viewer, and takes its time. Maybe I should have done the work samples. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
there we go.
And this is
Oh,
much
nice.
nicer.
Okay.
This is their quarterly magazine. Um, and I do recommend, skimming through these as you're reviewing the applications. Some people really love the content that the work samples give, and others are less interested. But
Hmm.
still looking at the production of those additional materials can give you a sense of the organization
Yeah.
as well.
Great.
And so, yeah, the PDF versions, and you can see all the attachments for the whole grant over here.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's all at
Yeah.
once.
So then you wouldn't have to close out the window. You could just click to work samples,
Oh, yeah. That's
and you
nice.
can see, yeah, what they're doing. And it's just much easier. You don't need to download this to your computer. You can just view it here for the
Perfect.
PDF type versions. So I mentioned the comments. Okay, so once you have all of your scores entered, and you aren't required to enter any comments, but anything with an asterisk, you are required to put in a score, 2, 5, or
Hmm.
8. Once you have all of those in, you'll click the save button and it'll take you back to You can hit next pending evaluation or return to your dashboard. And if I had scored everything, it would go into the red complete
Okay,
section and it would be completely done.
great. Okay.
So, any questions?
I don't think so. It's pretty, I mean, it looks like pretty easy software to use, and I don't I don't think I have any questions at this moment.
Okay, I'll click stop share. Um, yeah, so I will send you my cell phone number even when I send out all the materials. I
Perfect.
highly recommend, if you're reviewing, because I'm sure you work many hours during the day, and if you're reviewing on a weekend, I'm not going to be at my computer to respond to an email,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but usually a text, usually it's something simple, and I can just reply back, oh, please disregard that, or whatever it
Okay.
is. It's usually simple for me to respond back by text, so
Okay.
do feel free to text me any questions you have. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think I've covered it all, and yeah, let me know if you do have any questions as you're
Perfect.
working through them.
Awesome. Well, thank you for meeting with me and kind of walking through that. I mean, that's very helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you for